sea, sail home, sweet home, where the ships must go to get all cleaned up and put away.
Hey, what's going on, people?
Hello, everybody. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. It is Friday Q&A with Caleb and Dakota. Happy to be back again. It's great to be back in the same room again. It's been a while.
It is. Missed you.
Yeah, but it's all right. We've been doing the whole remote thing for a while. We've been connecting that way, but we're finally back again, and we're going to do a whole day of just answering your questions about everything special needs related.
That's right. Our favorite live topic of the month. Awesome.
And it looks like everybody's looking forward to it. We've already got 7 people. We've already got some likes and some loves on our stream. So
yeah, thank you, everybody.
Everybody was just waiting for us to show up today.
Yep. And thank you, Muzma, for the comment. Hello to you. And Holly, since I have it here, I'll just go ahead and control comments and whatnot.
We're on top of it.
So welcome, everybody. Welcome. Happy Friday.
Yeah.
And like Muzma here, drop a comment and say hello. Let us know how you're doing. Let us know where you're from. You know the drill. If you watch us every week, you know that we are live currently. And so you have the opportunity to ask us a question. Today is Q&A. So we're talking all things special needs related. So IHSS seems to be the biggest topic. Usually that's my favorite topic.
And it's what I know the most about as well. So
yes, but you can ask about regional center, IEPs, what's going on with, the world right now. We can try our best to talk about that.
And if we don't know the answer to something, we will try our best to give whatever information we do have. And usually we will research it afterwards and we'll post a comment following up after the live stream's over. So
yes.
Even if you think it might be difficult, maybe it's not in our wheelhouse, we don't necessarily know. We do our best to try and research everything and come back with the best answer we can after the fact.
And if the microphones sound okay, if you could see us clearly, let us know too.
Oh yeah, definitely. We're still a little bit new to this setup, so let us know if you're able to hear us clearly and everything sounds good. If you're not able to hear us right now, please scream and yell that everything is wrong right now. All right.
All right.
Now, while we're waiting for some comments, do we want to talk about the upcoming seminar we've got going on?
We do. What's up, Laura? Howdy. Yes, we have a seminar coming up. Laura says everything sounds great. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We also have Miss Farheen. Hello to you. Happy Friday. Thanks for being here. And thank you, everybody, for the likes, the loves, the shares that you guys give with these videos by tagging these streams to support pages. If you want to share it to a support page that you follow, that's really helpful for us to get more people into the stream so we can just chat and get some awesome questions going. And yes, so Dakota, you mentioned something about a seminar coming up, an event.
Yes. So if you are in the San Diego area or around there, we are going to be having a free seminar coming up. I believe it's the beginning of April.
April 5th, right, Teresa? Okay.
Yep.
April 5th. Yep. Thank you.
Yeah. So first week of April, we're going to be coming down to San Diego I believe it's a Saturday is going to be the day of it. And we're going to be talking kind of like we do here, all things special needs, conservatorships, IEPs, SSI, IHSS, and our boss, Myra Galt, she's going to be there answering all your questions. So I
see Laura says it's her birthday on April 5th, Laura, which means you got to make that drive down to San Diego.
Yeah, we'll sing to you. I'm kidding. We probably won't, but I don't know.
All right. So we got that event. We also have an event coming up here in March in San Francisco. We have a booth fair event, which is at John O'Connell High School, I believe, if that's correct. Sorry.
In San Francisco?
Yes.
Yeah.
In San Francisco on March 22nd, I believe. Teresa can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's March 22nd. Booth events are also really, really fun because it allows you to meet with other agencies and groups who talk about the world of special needs. It's a special needs related fair event. So
there's always a lot of, I'll say this. I think, is this the same one we did last year at the high school?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. One place that I thought was really interesting, they had a whole room, like a classroom set up with technological alternatives for people with special needs. So they had different mouse and keyboard setups for people with particular special needs. They had learning technology that was a little bit different than like the typical learning style. And they also had demonstrations for like text to speech programs. I don't remember what they're called, but that kind of thing where they have like pictures to represent different words and they can string sentences together.
Yes, these events are so much fun if you're able to come by and hang out. And a lot of the booths have games, they have goodies that they give out. And then, of course, if you're looking for resources, these are the events to find that. So lots of cool people usually show up. So we hope you guys can come by. Whoops. We have
on the 12th of April.
Happy Friday to you, Estella.
So apparently we were also doing Special Kids Connect on the 12th of April. Where is that? Is that down in Monterey area? King City.
Cool.
I don't know exactly where that is, but
Monterey.
usually they're around the Monterey County in that area.
Excuse me. Sorry. All right. So I think we have a couple of questions, Dakota. Do we have anything else? Any big stuff we want to talk about, or should we just go ahead and jump into everybody's questions?
I think.
Do you want to mention the Social Security link on our page for people that have questions about the cuts for Social Security?
Oh, okay. So is that on our Facebook or on our? Okay. So apparently on our Facebook page, we've posted a link to the Social Security Administration where they're giving live updates on any changes or anything that's being cut or reduced or anything like that. So if you have questions, what's going on with Social Security, they are providing updates. The administration itself is providing updates. And so we posted links to that because we're getting a lot of questions about stuff that's what's changing, what's going away, what's getting defunded, things like that. So we're trying to keep people updated as much as possible.
Yeah, check that out. All right. Thank you, Dakota.
Let's get in these questions.
Let's get to it. We already have a question. I don't know if I can answer. We've got Miss Marissa here. If my child has an LF, can I request a RBT para? So this would be an education-related question. I don't know what an LF is.
Is it LF or IF?
I'm not sure.
Might be a capital I.
So an RBT para would be a para aide at school. So I am really sorry, Marissa. That is not a question I don't think I'll be able to answer. But for those of you who are IEP experts, we know that we've got a lot of IEP and education advocates who follow us. If any of you are following and watching today, let's help Marissa out and get this question answered, unless you know.
I'm not sure, but I mean, at the very least, maybe we get clarification what IF or LF is, and then that could help a little bit, but we'll see.
Laura wants us to come back to LA. Teresa, are we going to LA anytime soon?
We're going to be going to San Bernardino.
San Bernardino. So I mean, not LA.
It's not quite LA, but it's in the ballpark.
SoCal.
Kind of, yeah.
All right. Hopefully that works out, Laura. We would love to see you. And Estella, happy Friday to you. Thank you very much. All right. So we've got a question from Alyssa. I'm adopting two brothers, ages 2 and 3, whom are both developmentally delayed with visual impairment due to born with drug addictions. At our phone intake, you had a phone intake. Okay. The social worker indicated that it was my obligation as a parent to many of the duties ages in index. Is this situation be a child you birthed versus adopted? So
I can take this.
Yeah,
so what they're referring to is what the state refers to as parental responsibility to do certain tasks. So we talk about often the age appropriate guidelines where they'll take a form that they have and says, well, at 3 years old, a child can't do most of these things themselves. They can't feed themselves. They can't dress themselves. They can't bathe themselves. And so those things are considered parental responsibility because the parent would have to do it whether the child was impaired or not. The parent would still do it anyway. So they set that aside. Now, as far as whether it's different for biological versus adopted, I believe the regulations, a parent is considered a parent if they either are the biological parent or if they have legally adopted the child. I think like a foster parent who hasn't adopted the child doesn't fall within that category of having parental responsibility, but a adoptive parent does.
Yeah. However, being an adoptive child or your biological child, that does not change you being the provider in a way of you claiming hours. It's the same because it's still technically it is your child. So all 3 of my siblings who have Down syndrome and autism, they were adopted. And so they all have IHSS, and my parents and caregivers over the years have all been able to claim the hours the same. So even as little itty bitties.
Yes, you can still be the provider, but there may be some categories that they'll say
Yeah.
But too young.
Hopefully that answers your question, Alyssa. Let us know if it did not. You're welcome to reach out to us directly too if you wanted to chat about that in private. All right, let's go on. So Marissa said I, so it'd be IF.
Okay, it's an
IF or IL?
It was IF. I think Teresa posted a clarification.
Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you, Teresa.
Later down.
Jackie Martin, hello to you. Thanks for being here. Oh, and then Marissa came back and clarified. Individual facilitator. He has a 1-to-1. That is what the service on IEP is called. Gotcha. Okay.
So
independent facilitator, to our understanding, has to do with regional center self-determination. So are we?
What was the original question again?
The question was that if my child has an independent facilitator, can I request a RBT para? So again, an RBT para would be related to school support, to my understanding. And then the independent facilitator is a term used for people who are on self-determination with regional center. So I'm not too sure if these are two separate things that we're talking about today, or if you're talking about how that would integrate into school. But
she said that the facilitator was on any IEP. It's called an
he has a one-on-one at school, I assume, is what the service on the IEP is called.
Yeah, we're not too sure.
I'm still kind of confused.
Yeah. Okay. And then Teresa provides a clarification. I believe the IF refers to independent facilitator. Is the question regarding regional center paying to get an RBT? Let's find that out. Marissa, can you help us out and let us know? All right, Alyssa, back with another one. If they are still fostered currently. So if they are still fostered currently, you still can receive IHSS for the children.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's about guardianship, really. It's about who is the caregiver of that child, whether they're on foster care, they're adopted, or they are a biological child of yours. You still can receive IHSS. Now, the only time you cannot claim IHSS for a foster child is if your home is labeled as a fostered facility. So that is a little different, right? If you have a couple of kiddos that you're fostering, you're not a facility. But if you're technically a group home through foster care, that's different, to my understanding.
I think I'll just go with what you said.
I wonder if we open this, can we still access the comments here?
Wait, unhide chat. No, that didn't help at all.
Nope.
Let's just not do that.
Yep, I was fine with it. All right, so we got a question from Daisy. I have a severely autistic who also has developmental disability. He is nonverbal, and I'm wanting to see if stepdad can help apply for IHSS as a provider. And he has one job, but we are struggling. It's tough. Gotcha. Well, thank you for the comment, Daisy. And we hear you, and we're sorry that it's so tough. We definitely can probably shed some light on some possibilities here. Dakota, do you want to maybe jump in?
Well, so you severely autistic, developmental disability, nonverbal. See if stepdad can apply to be a provider. He has a job. Yes. I mean, to that, it's generally assuming anybody at this point, anybody can be a provider. There's no real restrictions on parent. There used to be restrictions on parent provider rules of, you have to be not working full time. You have to not have a job, that kind of thing. All those restrictions are gone now. So pretty much anyone you want to be a provider can be a provider. The only limitation is that to qualify to be a provider at all, you have to not have committed certain felony crimes. There's a specific list of things that disqualify you from being a provider. I think abuse of a child, abuse of a senior, and fraud against the government are like the three that's like, if you've done any of those things, they will absolutely not allow you to be a provider. But as long as you don't have any of that, then no problems. You can get him added on as a second provider.
And there is a 10-year period where it's an absolute no-go. If you've committed one of those crimes, those felonies, at least for 10 years, you are not going to be eligible as a provider. After 10 years, you can apply for it still, and they still can take a look at things. But from what we've seen, those few crimes, we've seen people be prevented from being a provider forever. But they do state that after 10 years, they can kind of reevaluate. But the few cases we've worked with in those scenarios, that once that person has that on their record, they're not a provider anymore.
Now, I will say, if other felonies that are not one of those three, like those three are an absolute no-go. Other felonies also are kind of a barrier to becoming a provider, but you can sign a waiver, or rather the recipient can sign a waiver to ignore a felony as long as it's not one of those three.
Yes. And thank you for the question, Miss Daisy. Hopefully that helps. And everybody else who's still watching, thank you for continuing to watch. We're going to stick around for another probably 30 minutes or so. So give the video a like, a share if you can. That's awesome. And then Marissa is back. She says, no, it's a service he receives at school. So again, yes, so the para, the RBT, that is absolutely like a school term for an aid of some sort, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the independent facilitator, from how we understand it,
One-on-one aid.
is normally we were talking about regional center self-determination, but you're saying that the one-on-one aid they are referring to as an independent facilitator.
No, I think it's the RBT.
So an RBT is another type of aid. So an independent facilitator would be an aid, and an RBT is another type of aid.
She said in the IEP they list them as an IF when they're a one-on-one.
Okay.
Right. And so going back to her original question, you said, if my child has a independent facilitator, can I request an RBT para? Okay. So I think my thought is yes. But again, I think it comes down to what the child can qualify for within the school district, which is where those problems stem for most parents, because most parents have a hard time getting the one-to-one period, right?
Right. So doubling up on it, getting a one-to-one, and then also another aid might be difficult.
Or switching. If you want to go from an independent facilitator to an RBT, that's the process I'm not too familiar with. I'm not too familiar with what the differences are. So that would be something we'd have to get an education advocate in here to help us on.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are an education advocate and you're watching, let us know. Or if you're a parent who's gone through that process, let us know your experience.
I think we're further down on the list.
Yeah. Let's see here. Miss Amanda, is anything going to happen with IHSS with the new budget?
Now, for this question, I'm not sure if we're referring to the California budget, because that was an issue like last summer, or if we're talking about federal budget. I can kind of answer both. As far as the California budget, there were some things that were going to be stripped away, but after some negotiation, that was undone, and IHSS was completely left untouched, as far as I recall. As far as federal budget, things are still up in the air. We're still looking for updates and whatnot, but it seems unlikely because IHSS is primarily a state program, and very little, like percentage-wise, most of that comes from the state. So I wouldn't expect it to change very much, not noticeably anyway. But I think we will be doing a live on this exact topic sometime in the future, and we'll try to get more detailed answers on that.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of confusion out there, everybody. So we are trying to kind of figure out exactly what is happening. Now, we are, again, not in the world of budgets for California or, federal. So we're just going to have to kind of go through the motions and see what information is provided to the public for us to read through. And so hopefully when we are, like Dakota said, kind of nailing down what is going on, we'll be able to provide some more clarification.
Amanda clarified, she's wondering about the federal Medicaid, whether that's going to be changed.
Gotcha.
So I have not looked into it recently in the last couple of days. I know things have been going super fast. Last I heard, there was no talk about cutting anything from Medicaid. This is what I've been saying. This is sort of just what I'm going with to sort of ease my mind about it. Is I've not heard anyone on either side of like the political spectrum say it's going to happen, whether they're for or against the current administration. So until I hear somebody say something one way or another, I'm not worried that it's going to happen, because I've not heard anybody say it's going to happen.
Yeah. Okay, so Daisy, thank you so much. How can one start the process? Is there help to start? Yes. So if you have not started the process of IHSS, are you asking about starting the process of IHSS or starting the process of getting stepdad to be a provider?
I think this is for the provider.
Yeah. So she didn't clarify if they already have IHSS. So her original question was, I have a severely autistic child with a disability. I'm wanting to see if my stepdad can apply for IHSS provider. So we can assume, Daisy, that you're probably already on IHSS for your kiddo. And so if you are, then to get stepdad to be a provider, it's as simple as reaching out to the county, getting the provider enrollment packet started for them. And then they can sign up for the orientation. They can do their background check, basically whatever you did to become a provider, they can follow the same steps.
Now, to clarify, when you reach out to the county, it's not to the regular IHSS office, because they're the ones that handle recipient issues. It's going to be to the public authority, the IHSS public authority for your county. they're the ones that handle provider matters.
And Daisy says, yes, start up. We are not. So I'm guessing you're not IHSS. You're not on IHSS currently. Is that correct? We don't have IHSS. Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, all right then. So for that, it's going to be a matter of filling out an application and sending. There's a few different ways to do it. You can go to the office, you can mail it, you can fax it, you can email it, depending on the county. Some counties take it by email. An application for IHSS. If you just search up your county and IHSS, the website should show you where to find that form and where to send it. Is there more you want? I mean, we always say it's a good idea to start by maybe talking to an advocate before you start the process, just to know like what to be asking for.
Yeah, so we would say, Daisy is in San Joaquin County, everybody. Daisy, thank you for sharing that. We're only snickering because San Joaquin County is just a really difficult county to work with IHSS. So since you are following this page now and you are watching this live, to give you kind of some history, we often talk about the program IHSS and the challenges that come with it. That's the reason we exist as advocates. Is we, primarily what we do is we work with families and represent them through IHSS processes. And so you most certainly can go that route if you're looking for help to start the process, go through it and just kind of maximize what time you have during the process to get it approved. That would be our job. Our job would be to help you get it approved as seamlessly as we can help with that. San Joaquin County is kind of infamous for being just one of those counties that denies a lot of people wrongfully in many, many different ways. And they have really difficult social workers to work with. Now, I did just have a phone call with somebody this week. They've been on IHSS for 12 years, 13 years. And they had protective supervision, which, Daisy, if you're not familiar with it yet, protective supervision is kind of the big part of IHSS that a lot of people want to learn more about. It kind of changes the whole dynamic of how many hours per month you can get and get paid for. But this person had protective supervision for 10 plus years and then got it removed this year. So they had to file an appeal. So that's why they called us. But they had 4 different social workers. The 3 previous social workers, this mom said they were fantastic. They were great. The protective supervision wasn't a question. They helped them. They went through the process. It was great. And then this year they got a new social worker who came in and was still very nice about it, but said, oh, well, there was an incident at school where he got aggressive with the teacher. But because he didn't hurt the teacher, he knew to not hurt the teacher. He's therefore self-directed.
Oh, wow. That's a brand new one on me. I never heard that one before.
So to be more detailed, and I'm assuming this parent that I spoke with is comfortable with me sharing with this, but basically this is a bigger kiddo. He's, almost an adult, autistic, and excuse me. He is aggressive. He's aggressive, but he's also nonverbal. He's got, a lot of challenging behaviors due to his special needs. He's in a special day class, very highly restrictive environment. And he was having a bit of a moment of dysregulation, and he was being escorted out of the classroom to kind of de-escalate things. And as he was being escorted, he grabbed one of the teachers by the neck and wanted to just be aggressive in that moment. But he didn't try to hurt them. He was just being, defenseful, I guess you would say. But because he grabbed the teacher's neck and then realized what he was doing is wrong and he removed his hand, that was what went on the incident report with the school. The social worker saw that and said, oh, well, he must know right from wrong. Therefore, he is self-directed. He doesn't need protective supervision.
That's
so
crazy.
Daisy, you got us started. You mentioned San Joaquin County. We don't want to discourage you from pursuing this. So I absolutely, if your kiddo meets the criteria for this program, absolutely get started. And how you would do that, we would highly encourage you, especially because you're in San Joaquin County, to give our office a call or another advocate as kind of a professional.
At the very least, to just talk to them about it before you start.
Absolutely. And so if you wanted help through the process, you most certainly can go that route. But if you just want to gather some information, we would recommend gathering as much information about this before you submit an application. That would be our encouragement.
And you can always reach out to us on Facebook or other places if you have questions and just want to know about stuff.
Yes, absolutely.
Do we miss any questions?
Nope, we're doing okay. So we have one more ahead of this. So Teresa said, thus far, we think the cuts will be the
I'll read this one.
Thank you.
We think the cuts will be at the organizational level rather than parts of the program that directly affect our community. We will know more in the coming weeks. We will have an upcoming live to give more information, but short answer is we don't see reason to be worried, just watchful. And I think that's true. I think we're thinking that our hope is, at least, that if there are any cuts, it's going to be just trimming out some of the red tape, and that whatever funding does go to the special needs community will just go directly to them and not have to go through so many processes and so many channels. That might be just optimistic, wishful thinking, but that's our hope. And until we see, more information, we can't really say anymore.
Yeah. And to sidestep, oh my goodness, sorry guys, we are almost around 30 live viewers right now. Let's push this out as much as we can before we end. We've got maybe 25 more minutes left. So share the video, tag a friend, tag a support group. Let's get some more comments and hear some questions. That makes these lives a lot more fun for everybody, right? And we get to learn from each other.
That was a long one. I'll take this one too.
Okay, go for it.
All right. Gabriella says, hi, first, just wanted to say thank you. You're all amazing. Well, thank you for saying that. We appreciate it. I completed my appeal hearing yesterday. The judge asked me to provide photos and videos showing the self-harming / dangerous behaviors injuries. I do have some photos and videos, but I feel very conflicted about submitting them. My child is so young, and given everything that is going on, I worry about the risks of sharing such sensitive content. My question is, if I choose not to submit the videos and photos, could that, is there more to the, could that, okay,
it might be too long for us to
the rest of the comment.
Yeah. Teresa, could you help us read the rest of that comment?
I'm sorry.
Are you on Facebook?
Yes. Let me go from YouTube to Facebook. Which one?
This would be from Gabriella. She starts off with hi first.
We're at.
I do have some photos and videos, but I feel very conflicted about submitting them. My child is so young, and given everything that is going on, I worry about the risks of sharing such sensitive content. My question is, if I choose not to submit the videos and photos, could that negatively impact? I'm just going to post that to you guys.
Okay. We'll get it in just a second.
Okay. Yeah. Teresa's going to comment and post the second half of that comment. Gabriella, thank you.
Gabriella's.
Yep. So now we got to wait for
we're discovering some of the limitations of this programming. Okay. Question is, if I choose not to submit the videos and photos, could that negatively impact my case? His self-harm is thoroughly documented in all of the medical records and reports I've already submitted. Would really appreciate any guidance on how to handle the situation. Thanks so much for your time and support. So, thank you, Gabrielle. You posted it as well. I appreciate that. So one thing I kind of want to ask, because I get the implication from your question, the fact that the judge asked for photos and videos to me implies that you already told the judge that you had photos and videos. If you already told him that you have him and he asked you, okay, well, can you submit them? And you said yes. If you now go back on that, you don't submit him, he's going to think you were lying. So if that's the case, if you did actually say to the judge that you had those photos and videos, that by itself makes me think, okay, it's probably a good idea to submit them. Now, as far as like sensitive information, if your concern is about like Child Protective Services, right, where they're going to think, oh, are you abusing him? Are you something like that? I've never really seen that be a problem. I don't know, Caleb, if you want to like weigh in on that. Like, I know a lot of people are worried about that if you show a video of the child getting harmed in some way, that it could reflect poorly on you as a parent. In general, most of the time, I would say that's not the case.
Yeah, and so I'm guessing there's probably a lot more to the question, right? What are these photos and videos actually documenting? And so if it is like Dakota said, where it's just behavioral stuff that you've witnessed, the self-harming, where so Gabriella also mentioned she wants to respect her son's privacy. Fair, totally fair. And so we are in favor of photos and videos when it is appropriate. When you go in front of a judge in an appeal, you're writing up an argument, right? You're pushing your evidence, your documentation, the medical records, all that stuff. But so is the county, so is the social worker and their team. And so when you go in front of the judge on this telephone hearing call or a Zoom call, you have two different pictures of this child that the judge has to put in their mind. Right. So sometimes, yes, it is beneficial to show video footage or photos of what's been going on to help kind of bridge to your argument for the judge. But there is a totally normal feeling here of anxiety of the privacy of the child, along with, hey, if I show a video of my child headbanging and I'm not intervening and I took that opportunity just to record them during that time, how does that make me look?
Mhm.
And you are asking the question that is a really hard thing to answer because there is no real right answer. Some judges see that as very valuable information and come from it at an understanding point of view, as will some social workers. We have seen other social workers and other judges use as an opportunity to say, well, if you decided to record them in that moment and instead of intervening, then the behavior must not be that intense. Or again, kind of throw it back at you and say, why would you record your child in the middle of a meltdown and not console them? And so yes, it can pose some challenges. This is that delicate balance of what you should do. And so,
did she answer the question of whether or not the judge knew about the, I think that one, 1232.
This one right here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So Gabriella said, I did not say anything about it. I think because my child is so young, when he asked me to submit, I said, I don't know if I had any. Oh, okay.
So it does ease the fact of you didn't outright say you had them and are now, withholding them. So that's not as big of an issue. Now, I do want to sort of reassure you when it comes to the privacy issue that this is going to be seen by only people relevant to the case, right? Like the county, their people will be able to see whatever you upload, whatever you send in as evidence, and the judge will be able to see it. But this is not going to be out on the internet for anybody to see. I mean, I understand that could be a concern, but it's not. To me, it's kind of like sharing information with your doctor. Like there are a handful of people that could see that information, but ultimately it's probably for the best. But I do want to echo what Caleb said, that depending on the framing of the video, if this child's doing something seriously dangerous and you're filming it and nobody is trying to stop them, that's a problem. If it's like Ring doorbell footage and the child's running away and you're running after them, that's perfect. That's like 100%.
I was going to bring that up because a lot of people use those types of videos with the Ring doorbell,
or it's like some kind of security camera in the home or outside the home that shows an incident and even might show you intervening in the process. Those are perfect. But ones where you're recording on your own phone and the child's doing something dangerous can be seen as, even if not like, oh, you're a neglectful parent or anything like that, it can be seen as well, this must not be really that dangerous, or you must not really care that much because you're not stopping it.
And let's transition a little bit. We have a couple more questions we want to make sure we get to too, but to kind of tap into CPS and being worried about that, we do want to provide some clarity on how that works. So if you have a child with behavioral challenges where they're in harm's way more often than a typical child, CPS, it's bound to happen. Kiddos get called all the time at school because they show up with bruising on their arms. I mean, one of the most common reported CPS cases are children in wheelchairs where they have bruises on their arms. If you know anything about kiddos who are in wheelchairs, their hands and their arms are always going to be bruised up and slightly little different because of the wheelchair assistance that they need. And so we have had plenty of clients who have a child who's wheelchair bound, and then CPS gets called because they had scratches, bruises on their hands and their arms. And the parents are like, that's just what happens when they're in a wheelchair all day, every day, trying to navigate it and move it. Right. So you're going to get, it's not that you're going to, but it can happen where you can get CPS reported on you. A judge in this scenario or a social worker in this scenario, they have the ability to notify Child Protective Services if they feel like the child's in danger. But to give you that peace of mind, CPS is overwhelmed in every county, in every state. They get probably thousands of calls per day of any incident that's occurring. And so when they show up to a home, again, let's just say this CPS worker, this social worker has had 10 different calls that day, and you're at the end of the day and they show up to your home and they see a nice family and they see a child with special needs. They're not spending much time with you. They know how difficult it is to care for a child with special needs. They're looking to see, does this child have a bed to sleep on, or are they sleeping on a sack of potatoes? Do you have a roach infestation that's getting into the food in your fridge where it's an unlivable environment? Right? Those are the things they're looking for. They're not worried about you necessarily abusing your child if they have special needs. If there's no evidence to show that, then you should be okay. Because there are lots of kids that are being abused and are being neglected that still pass the CPS checks. So I wouldn't worry too much if you know you have nothing to hide and you are that child's in a loving, caring home. I wouldn't be too scared of that.
Again, we're not saying that was your primary concern, but we do get this kind of comment often.
Yes,
we should move on. There were.
Thank you, Gabriella, for the fantastic question.
Above. Wait,
Jennifer.
Oh, no, I think
we were getting there.
Wait, no.
Yeah,
go back up.
Yeah, I was going back to Jennifer right here. Jennifer, everybody who is watching right now, wish Jennifer a congratulations, or mention congratulations, Jennifer. She just got approved for protective supervision in IHSS on Monday. She is so proud of herself. She did it the first time. Congratulations, Jennifer. We're so glad you're here. And thank you for sharing that. You're welcome to share a little bit about your experience doing that too. And how things are going. What did we miss, Dakota? Go back.
Well, Daisy said she'll definitely give us a call. So there is that.
Great.
So,
thanks, Daisy.
We'll look forward to that. We'll have a good conversation. But Emily said, my reassessment for PS is this Tuesday. My son is 8. They only asked for medication. Should I mention he started having seizures? Yeah, I mean, yeah, you definitely should tell them about any changes that have happened like that. Yeah. So the purpose of the reassessment is to find out what's going on now, right? And so if a seizure disorder has been presented, then it would be necessary to bring that up to IHSS at the home visit for the reassessment. It shouldn't affect things overall. Again, case by case, but yeah, I mean, the only reason that would affect your PS in a negative way would be if the seizures are so frequent and so strong that he no longer is able to put himself in harm's way. That's like literally the only way it could possibly affect the PS, the way as far as I can tell. Yeah. Farheen, if my child has a gastric metaplasia of the I can't read that. What is it? Duodenum reflex Okay, they have a lot of chronic vomiting. Okay, vomiting 10 or 12 times per day. Even he keeps swallowing his own vomit. If we don't tell him to throw it out, so he could be eligible for WPCS. He's also blind from his left eye, severe autistic nonverbal, ADHD, OCD, tics. He already has protective supervision. Can you get WPCS for all of that? So WPCS would be to fill in the gaps for where IHSS does not meet. And so, yeah, if the paramedical services that are different from what you just described, then WPCS can be blended into that as well. Farheen also says he doesn't go to school because of the severe anxiety, so teacher comes to the home 3 times a week. Excuse me. Wow. Right. Yeah, so I would look into WPCS. You can most certainly give them a call and see if it's something that they can add into the services. Thank you for the hearts. For the hearts. Gabriella, thank you for being here today. Yes, we love having questions that we can really sink our teeth into, so to speak. That's why we're here, especially when we get to discuss it for a while as well. Yeah. All right, cool. So I think we're all caught up in the comments. Daisy, you said, thank you for all your help. Really appreciate it. I was upset and scared. Well, we're glad. Hopefully we're giving you some peace of mind. I mean, we do kind of scare a little bit when it comes to San Joaquin, but it's definitely not, it's not the end of the world. Like, yes, we understand they're difficult to work with, and we've had a lot of struggles with them in the past. But at the end of the day, like you were saying, 3 out of 4 social workers were great for that one person you were dealing with, and so it's ultimately, again, if your child or loved one needs IHSS, regardless of what county you're in, pursue it. Absolutely, but knowing the county that you're in and knowing how they operate is a great way to get prepared on how to navigate what you're about to get into. And so when you're in a county that's really infamous for being just kind of ruthless and rude and just hard to work with, you know that it's probably going to require you to have maybe a few extra pieces of evidence, maybe work with an advocate to help you so you don't have to be, alone during that process. But we're really glad that you're here, Daisy. Thank you so much for chiming in. Daisy said she'll call us on Monday. Nice. Can't wait to talk with you, Daisy. We are booked right now for a couple of weeks. So I'm really sorry.
But I really hope you can get on my calendar, and it would be awesome to chat with you.
If you have any more immediate questions, you can always reach out on Facebook. We can usually answer those a bit faster.
Absolutely. Farheen, thank you.
Now, it looks like we're caught up on the questions. Caleb, do you know what our topics are going to be going forward on Facebook? Our next lives? Do you know what kind of topics we're going to be talking about?
Let's see. So next week, we have a potential guest talking about something potentially really cool. We're not confirming it just yet because we're not sure, but we're hoping it happens.
Well, can you tell us what the topic might be, at least?
ABA, behavioral therapy
okay.
analysis, or behavioral, ABA, applied behavioral analysis. So for those of you who are familiar with ABA, that would be behavioral therapy. That can be great for some. And so hopefully we can have our friend on who specializes in that either next week or in the coming weeks if next week doesn't work. But it would be in regards to kind of a hot topic right now. If you go onto TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, anywhere people are talking about ABA, there is a big question of, is ABA good or is it bad? What are the pros and cons? Because a lot of people who start the therapeutic process, whether it be ABA or other interventions, they get kind of scarred from it because they have horrible experiences. And so we have a lot of people who will post information online and say, hey, don't even bother with ABA. I had it for years and it was horrible. I had a horrible experience. But then you'd have another person who say ABA was fantastic. It was like the single thing that separated all the other therapeutic interventions and showed the most growth for the child. And so we're hoping that this individual that's going to join us is going to help kind of break down in a professional expert opinion way perspective of pros and cons of these therapeutic interventions, and maybe not necessarily vilifying the theory of it, but knowing that it's going to come down to the right person, the right agency, because with ABA,
maybe sometimes it's done the wrong way.
Absolutely. And so we have heard the stories of people say, you know what, I started with ABA originally and I had like a really horrible experience with the technicians that came in. But when I switched to a different ABA group, the technicians that came in were just super professional and they were fantastic and they were very hands-on and they were all of these great things. So I think that does show that it's going to come down to organization, the behavioral techs that come in, and maybe not the theory of the service itself, if that makes sense.
Now, I think aside from that topic, we also sometime soon are going to hope to have Myra on to talk about the federal budget and any changes, cuts, and things that might be happening there. Do we know roughly when that
would be possibly next week or the week after that? That's when Myra is going to jump on and she's going to help us maybe clarify some things of what she has been aware of in regards to what Dakota just said. So Myra will either be next week or the week after.
So federal budget cuts and ABA pros and cons will hopefully be the next 2 weeks, one or the other.
That's right.
Vice versa. Okay.
Yep. And after that, Teresa, what do we have on the schedule?
That might be too far out.
Nothing.
Okay, cool.
I know we got the end of the month. We got a Q&A because we always do Q&As.
That's right. That's right. Save the last Friday of the month as your Q&A time of the month. That's every single month we try that. So because we're actually a little low right now on topics, we got to think of some things to bring up in the next couple of weeks, or kind of go through our pile of ideas that you guys have given us, which there's never enough. So if you have thoughts, ideas, questions that you would love for us to maybe include as a topic in the coming weeks or month, let us know. Drop a comment below right now. We still have a few more minutes before we got to run, everybody. So if you have a question or something you would like for us to talk about in the coming weeks, let us know.
Oh, and also, I'll just throw this out there before we get to this last question here. We're still like messing around with our whole setup here, audio, visual, the stream overlay and everything. If you have any feedback about if you like it, if there are things that you think are in the way or distracting or whatever, let us know, because we're still trying to refine this whole process.
I want to talk about if people would like maybe have an inspirational story or a testimony of how they worked with Galt, how maybe they could PM us, and we'll see if we can work them in our life.
Yeah. So we love special guests. So over the last few years, we've had special guests come on, but we haven't heard from you so much. And so if anybody was interested in maybe joining us on live, or maybe just sharing their story about their journey with working with us, or just your life as a special needs parent, we would love to hear it, and we'd love to share that story with everybody, so that we can all kind of learn from each other and learn the do's and the don'ts of this really difficult thing to manage, which is the life of a special needs parent, or a caregiver, or a loved one with disabilities that you're caring for, right? So if you want to ever join us, we'd love to maybe see if we can make that work in the coming weeks or months. Or again, if you just want to share what's been going on and you want us to share that for you, we can work something out. And so
if they PM it to us, we can read it on our live.
Teresa is saying, send her a personal message here on Facebook on the Galt Advocacy page. Send us some messages. Let us know your story. Let us know what you've gone through, and with whether you worked with Galt Advocacy or not. And we'd love to see if we can connect and
can share people's stories.
Yeah.
If you're comfortable with us,
yeah, absolutely. All right. Dora says, hi, if you move from county to, I'm guessing from a different county, do you have to restart the whole process for protective supervision?
Sort of.
So there's two types of transfers, right? So there's you're in a county and then you just move across town, but you're still within the same county.
Then nothing.
No
big deal. You just tell them what your new address is.
That's right.
And they probably won't even do an assessment until your yearly comes up.
Yep. And so you might get a new social worker assigned to the case if you're in a different zip code or territory for the social workers. But if you're within the same county, you just notify them about the address change and you're good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you move to a different county, if you go from LA County and you move down to San Diego, then things don't technically restart. But what happens is you have to notify the county that you're moving from that you're moving to a new county. So their job, and so for LA County, for example, LA County's responsibility in that situation then is to notify San Diego County, the new county that you're moving to, and say, hey, this new family is moving in next week, start the transfer process. And so they will transfer the case to San Diego County. But once San Diego County receives that transfer request, you have to be living in your new residence now. And a San Diego social worker has to reach out to you to conduct a visit. And so this visit oftentimes is treated like a brand new assessment. And so we do see a lot of the times people losing their benefit, losing their hours, or getting protective supervision, removed because they move to a new county. So every county every IHSS office in the state of California has the same rules. They use the same regulations, but each county office has their own policies, procedures. They have their own way of thinking about things. And so some counties will deny protective supervision far more aggressively than other counties.
Yeah.
And so if you move to a county like San Joaquin, they are very aggressive with protective supervision denials. And so that might be a county where if you were to move to, you got to plan for a brand new assessment.
And what I'll say is that I think even if you're moving from a maybe less favorable county and you have PS, and you're moving to a more favorable county, there still, I think, is an inherent risk when going to a new county, because with reassessments in general, when they've been there, they were there last year and the year before, and they've given you these hours, you might have the same social workers you had last year. And they're going to say, oh, well, I thought he needed it last year. I'm not going to change it now.
Yeah.
And they're just more likely. It's sort of like one of those, Newton's laws where, an object at rest tends to stay at rest, where, once they've given you the hours, they're not really that likely to take them away. However, when you have a brand new social worker, or even more so a brand new county, they look at it with fresh eyes. They don't take any of the past information into account, even though you still have those hours technically. They'll say, well, I never assessed this person, so I'm just going to do a brand new assessment and not take what the previous social worker said into account at all. And so I think there's an inherent risk where you're more likely to have your hours change when you go to a new county, because they're not going to look at the previous county. They could if they wanted to. They could look at the previous county's notes and say, oh, this county thought you needed protective supervision. All right, I'll stick with that. But more often than not, they're going to say, no, I'm going to do my own assessment. I'm not going to listen to what the previous county said. I'm going to do my own thing. And they might still agree. They might still think you need PS, but there's a good chance that they'll just decide, I don't think so. And that's why you don't have to restart the whole process, but you should probably get a lot of documents. Even if they don't ask for them, you should probably get as many as you got the first time for the new county.
Yep. And see it as a way to help the new social worker in this new county. You know that they're coming in with fresh eyes, and they may not have access to all of the previous documentation that you had given to IHSS over the years in that other county. So use it as an opportunity to say, hey, I know we just transferred. You're here to learn about my family, learn about my child, learn about the situation. Here is some information that I've used in previous years, so that you can kind of get up to speed on things. This is the information that was used to show that my child needs this category approved, protective supervision approved, and so forth. So we have a couple more minutes. So we have to kind of get
we
through
gotta
this.
get this. We gotta make way for the Spanish live in a couple of minutes here.
Paul, is it true when it comes to getting back payments from state hearings decisions, particularly for protect supervision, the payments do not include overtime pay despite the monthly hours having hit the overtime mark each month?
The answer is yes, that does happen. Whether or not that's supposed to happen, I think it probably isn't supposed to happen.
Yeah.
The problem is, where do you go to get due process for that? We don't know. And we've run into this problem a lot where oftentimes, because there's two different ways they can do it. When you finish a state hearing and you get back pay, they can either allow you to go back and fill out time cards for all of the back months, no matter how long it took, or what is more common nowadays, they will just write a check for all of the previous months and send it to you.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they'll write the check and they'll include the overtime hours in the amount. But sometimes they won't. What do you do then? And what we have found is that the process to even start to fight that issue, we're not even sure if it's the right place to go to, because the check is written out to the recipient, but it's the provider that does the hours, and so the overtime is the providers, but the money is the recipient's. It's a problematic situation, and it's not even clear if the administrative hearings has jurisdiction over the issue. And I could really get into this, but I'm not going to. But the answer is that does happen, and it probably shouldn't happen, but we don't know how to fight it really at this point.
And maybe it's something we can actually do a live about, because we do have some more information we could probably share a little bit on that. But it's a great question, Paul, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who want to learn more about that too. So with that said, we're out of time, everybody. We only have a few more minutes. We are already getting a couple of questions in Spanish, which means it's time for Nicole to go live in Spanish. So if you speak Spanish and you want to hear some of the same information, some of the same questions answered in Spanish, follow our Spanish page for Galt Advocacy, where you will see Nicole going live here in just a couple of minutes at 1:00 every Friday. But that's it for us today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for the likes, the loves, and the shares today, everybody. If you can continue to do that even after this stream has been posted, that also really helps us, and it helps the other people who are looking for this information, just like you when you found us, right? But thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, Dakota, for being my partner again today, like always.
It's always a pleasure to be here.
I hope everybody enjoys their Friday. Enjoy the weather. I think it might rain here next week, but enjoy the sun while you can. Thank you, everybody, for sticking around for this hour-long stream. Hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.